Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine when the wind whispers through the trees? Have you ever wondered what secrets lie hidden in the shadows beyond the glow of the campfire? Tonight I invite you to step with me into the heart of the wilderness. Every crack in a branch could be your end. Before we begin, if you're new here, remember this: subscribing is free and helps grow our community. We're on track for 500 subscribers, and your support means everything. Let us know where and when you're watching in the comments. So if you dare, hit that subscribe button now and let's see how deep this darkness goes. I didn't believe in ghost stories. Not really. I was the logical one in our group, Jess with her quick laugh, Carter with his endless playlists, and me, always snapping photos of every sunrise, every deer sighting. We had driven 5 hours to this remote campground nestled between two ridges of the Pine Heart Mountains. As dusk fell, the sky smeared itself in violet and orange, and the air grew crisp. We pitched our tent near an ancient grove of pines so tall their tops vanished in the twilight mist. The ranger's warning echoed in my mind: no fires after midnight, and stay on the marked trails. Carter cracked a can of soda. "What do you think is out there?" he teased, gazing into the forest. Jess laughed. "Probably just some raccoons." But as the night deepened, a low hum of tension threaded through us. We sat around the campfire, the flames licking our faces. I read aloud from my notebook of local legends, tales of a figure known as the Pine Heart Watcher, a spirit that guarded the forest and lured trespassers away. "Did you hear that?" Jess whispered. A twig snapped on the far side of the clearing. We froze. Carter trained his flashlight, but its beam only pierced a ring of darkness. For the next hour, the forest kept its secrets tight. Then, just as we were about to call it a night, I noticed footprints in the soft soil. Footprints of bare feet dragging, like someone desperate to keep moving. They led off into the woods, toward an old, abandoned ranger station marked KM-12 on our map. Against my better judgment, we followed those prints at first light. The station's windows were shattered, and inside, every drawer had been pulled out and rifled through. Old maps littered the floor, marked with red X's around clearings deep in the forest. On the wall, scrawled in charcoal, "Stay on the path." A sudden gust slammed the door behind us. Carter yelped. Jess found an old recorder on the desk. It still had a tape inside. I pressed play. A woman's voice, trembling. "They come out of the trees at night. If you're not careful, the Watcher takes you." The tape cut off. A heavy silence settled. I felt the weight of unseen eyes watching us. My camera clicked as I raised it, but when I checked the screen, the image was white, overexposed, as though something bright had been there for a heartbeat. We hurried back to camp, hearts pounding. By the time we reached the grove, Jess was gone. Her sleeping bag lay empty, the zipper halfway undone. No footprints, no disturbed branches, nothing. Just her phone, left abandoned on the ground, still recording the crackle of our dying campfire. "Jess?" Carter's voice cracked. "Jess!" I grabbed a flashlight and shone it into the tree line. The beam caught on something far in the distance, a small figure crouched. For a second, I thought it was Jess. Then it turned, and its eyes reflected the light like two molten coals. It didn't move, but I felt its gaze drag me forward. We tried to chase, but our legs felt like lead. The forest seemed to rearrange itself, trees shifting, paths twisting. We lost sight of it, and Jess, within seconds. Night fell again. Carter and I fortified the tent with fallen logs and rope. I held Jess's phone in my hand, hoping for a clue. Suddenly it lit up with a message. Follow the red on the map. Find what's missing. My blood ran cold. I remembered the red X's in the station. We scrambled back to retrieve the map fragments we'd left behind. Piecing them together, they formed a circle of clearings deep in the heart of the forest, 6 in total. Each had a name: Moonwater, Raven's Hollow, Widow's Pass, Devil's Knoll, Blackroot Clearing, and finally, Pineheart Grove, our camp. We have to go there, I whispered. Carter nodded, voice hollow. For Jess. The trek was a blur of fear. At Widow's Pass, we found Jess's flashlight, battered but intact. At Raven's Hollow, the charred remains of a makeshift shrine, candles, bones, and a single photograph of a smiling girl in a yellow raincoat. By the time we reached Devil's Knoll, the moon hung low, and every breath felt like dragging air through a tunnel. I thought I saw Jess's silhouette dancing between the trees, beckoning. But when we approached, nothing was there. Only the echo of a child's giggle. Blackroot Clearing was suffocatingly quiet. Roots twisted across the ground like veins beneath our boots. Carter stepped on something soft. Tissue. He recoiled, flashlight sweeping across a tattered yellow raincoat draped over a stump. The air rippled with a low hum, and I felt the forest closing in around us. A voice behind me. Thank you for following the path. I spun. There stood the Pineheart Watcher, a tall, slender figure cloaked in shadows, its face hidden beneath a bark-like mask. Its arms extended, long and graceful, fingers ending in gnarled talons. You took her steps. It rasped. Now you must pay. Carter screamed and lunged forward. The Watcher dissolved into the trees, its voice lingering. Find what's missing. We ran, heart hammering, until we collapsed at Pineheart Grove. And there, illuminated by the rising sun, was Jess, alive, pale, but breathing. She stood before the tent, dazed but unhurt. We embraced, tears mingling with relief. Jess held out her hand. In her palm lay a single root, black, twisted, and pulsing with a faint glow. We left at first light, the roots safely buried at the foot of an old pine. The forest fell silent behind us, as though nothing had happened. Back home, the footage from Jess's phone shows only static, except one frame, the silhouette of a girl in a yellow raincoat, watching us leave. So I ask you, what would you have done in our place? Would you follow the path, even if it meant losing a friend? Do you believe the Pineheart Watcher still waits, ready to reclaim those who stray? If this story sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to subscribe. It's free, and every subscription brings us closer to that 500 subscriber milestone. Hit the bell so you won't miss our next campfire tale. Sweet dreams, and remember, when you hear the wind in the pines, be careful where you tread. We rolled into Camp Lone Pine just as the sun dipped below the western ridge. Mara was behind the wheel, camera perched on the dash, ready to capture every moment. My friends, Eli, a skeptic with a dry sense of humor, Priya, who never went anywhere without her journal, and Nolan, whose fascination with local lore bordered on obsession, were buzzing with excitement. The camp nestled around a glassy lake, its surface kissed by autumn leaves. Rustic cabins dotted the treeline, and a rickety boathouse jutted into the water, its paint peeling like old skin. The ranger station's sign swung on rusty hinges. "Welcome to Lone Pine, leave nothing but footprints." "Already feels like we've stepped into a postcard," Eli joked. But as the engine died, I caught a flicker, someone standing in the boathouse doorway, just for a heartbeat, then gone. We unloaded our gear under a sky streaked with violet and charcoal. Priya scribbled in her journal. Camp map shows a series of marked trails, but nothing about the old tunnels. I glanced at her page. Etched beneath the official map was a crude sketch of subterranean passageways. That night, we gathered around the fire pit. Flames danced in our eyes, and Nolan recounted the legend of the Lone Pine Echo, a child who drowned in the lake nearly a century ago, her cries said to linger in the tunnels below. A sudden crash. From the direction of the boathouse, a paddle shattered against wood. Eli stood, squinting into the darkness. "Probably a branch," he insisted, but none of us moved to check. At 2 a.m., I awoke to a distant whisper, soft, lilting, a child's voice calling, "Mara!" My heart pounded. I nudged Priya. She shushed me, her eyes wide in the lantern glow. We tiptoed outside, the air damp and cold. The wind carried the voice around us, mingled with the mournful cry of an owl. It circled the campfire's remnants, then drifted toward the woods. Eli and Nolan were gone. Their flashlights bobbed between the trees. I chased after them, camera rolling, only to find them staring at the boathouse door, ajar, revealing a pitch-black interior. "Did you hear her?" Nolan whispered. Priya shook her head. "We should go back." But Eli stepped forward, drawn by something unseen. Inside the boathouse, water lapped at old floorboards. A loose plank revealed a rusted latch. Nolan pried it open, revealing a trapdoor descending into darkness. Our breaths billowed in the stale air. Candles, long since extinguished, sat on wooden crates. Priya's flashlight swept the walls, uncovering carvings, childish scrawls, dates from the 1920s, and a single phrase repeated, "Echo, find me." We exchanged looks. Fear outweighed curiosity, but Eli, ever the adventurer, descended first. The trapdoor slammed shut behind us, echoing through the tunnel like a gunshot. In the tunnel's depths, moss clung to stone walls, and our footsteps echoed interminably. At a fork, Priya's flashlight beam caught a small alcove. Inside, an old mirror half buried in rubble. When I peered into it, my reflection smiled back, and then I blinked. The smile lingered. My heart froze. I stumbled back. The mirror's surface rippled like water. Nolan wrenched it free, revealing a hidden passage behind. Suddenly, Eli's scream cracked the silence. Down the corridor, his light danced, then vanished. We ran toward the sound, finding only his camera lying on the floor, recording static. Shaken, we retraced our steps and stumbled upon an old battery-powered radio on a moss-covered ledge. The dial hovered between stations, but a weak signal broke through, a child's laughter, then a garbled message. "Help, she's lost." Priya adjusted the tuning. The static cleared, briefly revealing, "Follow the echoes to the lake's heart." Before morphing into a high-pitched screech, the radio died. "What does that even mean?" Eli's voice trembled. We followed the tunnel until it opened beneath the boathouse, daylight filtering through floor slats. Water dripped from above. We climbed onto the boathouse floor, lungs heavy with relief, only to see ripples forming on the lake above, directly overhead. A hand reached down through the floor slats, fingers pale and slender. Priya gasped. I raised my camera, but the hand retreated. Nolan tried to pry a board loose, the water surface above distorted, and we heard a chorus of whispers. Don't forget me! The boathouse groaned. Boards splintered as something struggled beneath the surface. We scrambled toward the stairs, and with a collective heave, burst into the open air just as an unseen force shattered the floor, dragging the boathouse into the lake with a thunderous roar. Terrified and soaked, we raced across the dock as the water stilled. But the lake's reflection revealed the trapped outline of a little girl's body, suspended just below the surface. Her eyes, fixed on us, blinked once, and then she was gone. Behind us, a low childlike giggle echoed across the water. We spun, but saw only the empty campsite. The woods seemed to lean in closer, as if listening. My camera recorded every moment, the lens capturing something our eyes could not, a pale silhouette dancing between the trees, beckoning us deeper into the forest. We didn't stop running until the first light of dawn crested the hills. By then, Eli was sobbing, Priya clutching the radio, and Nolan checking the footage on my camera, only to find one final clip, the girl standing at the water's edge, smiling sadly, holding a battered doll. We loaded into the car without a word. The lake behind us was placid, betraying no hint of last night's horrors. Back home, we reviewed our recordings. My reflection in the mirror tunnel never smiled back. The radio played only silence. The lake's footage showed nothing but dark water, until the final frame, where a tiny handprint pressed against the glass lens. We agreed never to return. Yet I still hear her at night, the lonely echo calling my name. And I wonder, would you answer her call? Would you brave the depths for a chance to set her free? Or would you, like us, run until the echoes fade? If this story sent shivers through your spine, don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free, and each subscription brings us one step closer to 500 brave listeners. Click that button now, ring the bell, and join us next time for another chilling campfire tale. Good night, and listen closely to the echoes. I'm Lena, the storyteller and skeptic of our group. When my friend Marcus invited me to spend a weekend at his family's old hunting lodge by the lake, I expected fishing poles and ghost stories around the campfire. What I didn't expect was the tale of the Blackwater Bride, a woman said to plunge into the lake every century, searching for her lost groom. Marcus handed me a yellow journal, its pages brittle with age. Inside was a single entry dated August 1903. She waits beneath the surface, her white dress drifting like seaweed. He broke his promise. I fear the water will claim us all. I laughed, hiding a shiver. But as dusk settled, I wondered, what if the bride's sorrow never sleeps? Our group of 5, me, Marcus, his sister Zoe, best friend Theo, and videographer Claire, arrived just as the sun dipped behind the pines. The lodge loomed above the lake, its windows dark, wood-weathered by time. Claire set up her camera, framing the still water like glass. At dinner, Zoe recounted her own childhood memory. I saw her once, months ago, floating near the dock, her dress glowing in the moonlight. I thought I was dreaming. Her voice trembled, and I noticed the lake's surface ripple, though no breeze stirred. When night fell, we lit the fire pit. Theo cracked a joke to break the tension. If the bride shows up, I'll dance with her. The embers sputtered as though gasping in warning. At 2:17 a.m., Claire's camera recorder caught soft sobbing, faint, coming from beneath the dock. We climbed down, hearts thudding against our ribs. Below, the water rippled in a perfect circle, though we were alone. Zoe dropped a stone. It sank with no splash, as if swallowed by the depths. Then a voice brushed past our ears. Don't forget me. We froze. Marcus swore it sounded like his grandmother's voice. The tension snapped when a pale hand, slender and dripping, slipped above the water's edge, then vanished. We fled back to the lodge without a word. Morning brought uneasy calm. Theo discovered the old rowboat, once tied to the dock, capsized in the shallows, its oars splintered. The wood wasn't rotten, it had been violently snapped. No footprints led to or from the scene. Claire reviewed her footage. The camera had cut out at 2:17 a.m., then turned on itself, pointing down at water for 30 seconds before dying. We felt eyes watching us from every shadow. Determined to prove there was a natural explanation, Marcus suggested we explore the forest trail to the ridge, but Zoe refused. "She's in the woods now, too," she said. We pressed on, ignoring the knot in our stomachs. The trail wound steeply upward, flanked by towering pines whose needles whispered underfoot. Claire's camera light stuttered. At a clearing, we found an altar of moss-covered stones arranged in a semicircle, fresh wildflowers placed in the center. None of us had touched them. Zoe gasped. "She's marking her territory." A flicker caught my eye, a white gown draped over a fallen branch. When I approached, the fabric pulsed as if alive. I dared to touch it, icy cold, and a chorus of distant sobs swelled around us. We ran. 20-30. Descending the ridge, we stumbled upon a cabin not marked on any map. Its door hung ajar. Inside, candles burned in a circle around the cracked portrait, a wedding scene of a beautiful bride and a stern-faced groom. The groom's face had been scratched out. Claire's voice shook. "This belonged to someone." On the table lay a folded letter, dated August 1903. "My dearest Eleanor, I cannot return. I am bound by duty. Forgive me." A gust slammed the door shut. The candles guttered, and in their faint light I saw footprints leading to the back wall. When we pressed our hands against it, the wood gave way to reveal nothing but pitch-black emptiness. Back at the lodge, Zoe fell ill, fevered and muttering about cold fingers brushing her ankle as she slept. Marcus insisted the cause was stress, but Claire's footage showed Zoe thrashing, reaching for something in midair. At midnight I heard it again, a low wail from the lake, as if the water itself were in pain. We grabbed flashlights and tiptoed outside. On the boat dock, footprints led to the water, but stopped abruptly at the edge, as though someone had floated away. Then, the lake's surface bubbled. A white figure emerged slowly, dress billowing, hair plastered to a contorted face. She opened her mouth in a silent scream. We ran. The bride sank back into the water, waves lapping at our heels. Claire discovered ritual tools in the cabin, a silver chalice, a length of black ribbon, and vials of lake water. Someone, perhaps Eleanor herself, had tried to summon or banish the spirit. The chalice bore an inscription. "Until death parts us, I belong to you." That night, we decided to perform a reversal ritual at the altar in the woods, using the chalice to pour water over the flowers, tying the ribbon around a pine sapling. If the bride's sorrow bound her, perhaps a new binding would set her free. Under a crescent moon, we gathered at the stone's circle. As Marcus poured the water, the ground trembled. Zoe tied the ribbon, voice firm despite her fever. A wind whipped through the clearing, carrying a final whisper. "Thank you?" Silence fell, so deep it roared in our ears. We raced back to the dock. The lake lay glassy and still, as though the events of the night were a fever dream. Claire's camera recorded only the reflection of the full moon, perfectly round. Zoe's fever broke, and her eyes cleared. "I feel lighter," she said. We watched the water, expecting one last glimpse of the bride, but nothing came. As dawn peeked over the ridge, we packed our gear. The lodge's front door closed on its own, as if someone had guided it. We left without a backward glance. Back home, I reviewed Claire's footage. The ritual circle showed no disturbance, yet the wildflowers, when examined, were freshly wilted. The silver chalice was gone from our bag, replaced by a single white rose floating in a glass of water. I still hear her sometimes, a soft sob at the window, a fleeting shimmer in the lake's reflection on screen. And I wonder, if you stood on that dock at midnight, would you dare to look into the water? Would you offer your promise to release what cannot rest? Or would you, like us, flee until the echoes fade? Pause, letting the questions hang in the silent aftermath. If this tale chilled you to the bone, be sure to subscribe. It's completely free and helps us reach our goal of 500 fearless listeners. Click subscribe now, ring the bell, and join me next time by the fire, if you dare. I'm Rowan, and I built my reputation on capturing unforgettable scares, yet nothing prepared me for the horrors of Camp Coldwater Hollow. My friends and fellow thrill-seekers, Jade, the paranormal blogger, Marcus, the gadget geek, and Lena, whose steady voice keeps us calm, were drawn here by whispers of a vanished mining community. Local lore warns: never swim after sunset, never approach the old pump house, and above all, keep your reflection to yourself. We reached the camp at dusk. The main lodge's boardwalk creaked underfoot as we carried in backpacks weighed down more by anticipation than gear. Lantern lights spilled onto a fog-blanketed lake. Lily pads floated like pale saucers, and the silhouette of an abandoned pump house loomed at the far shore. A cold mist curled off the water, carrying a metallic scent, like rusted iron and something fouler, deeper. Jade found it first, a rusted plaque partially submerged, inscribed, Coldwater Mine, EST 1892, closed 1903. She wiped away grime to reveal names etched along the border, 20 souls lost in some catastrophe. One name had been gouged. Eleanor Whitlock. That's the town's matron, Jade whispered. She vanished first. A sudden ripple, though no breeze stirred. We froze as the water shimmered, then stilled. Marcus aimed his digital camera at the pump house. The zoom lens caught something crouching in a broken window, something pale, too still to move. At 2 a.m., drawn by distant tapping, Lena and I stumbled upon a granite slab deep in the woods. A full-length mirror, frame entwined with ivy, shards of crystal embedded in its edges. The surface pulsed with faint light, like a lullaby echoing in the dark. I peered in. My reflection blinked once, too late. When I looked again, my eyes were empty. I staggered back. The mirror's voice, a low, sorrowful hymn, wafted through the trees. "Let me in!" We fled. But the forest had shifted. The camp felt miles away, lantern batteries drained in seconds. Marcus checked his watch. The hands spun wildly, then froze. No one spoke. Every path led back to that mirror, where our reflections waited, grinning. Jade's flashlight landed on footprints that glowed in phosphorescent green, leading uphill, toward the old mine entrance. We had no choice. Follow or vanish into the woods forever. Inside the mine, wood supports groaned under the weight of centuries. Water dripped from slick walls, pooling around our boots. In the lamplight, Eleanor's name glowed on the wall, freshly redrawn in chalk. Beneath it, a hastily scrawled message. They took her reflection. A sudden clank, metal on stone, echoed from deeper within. Lena gasped as a pair of boots appeared at the tunnel's end. No body above, just the boots, shuffling closer on their own, filling the corridor with a staccato beat. We scrambled over old rails and rusted carts until we reached a vertical shaft. A rickety ladder descended into darkness, each rung carved with an eye, and each eye seemed to blink in our lantern light. Jade reached out, but Marcus yanked her back. "They're watching us," he whispered, voice trembling. I climbed first. Each rung creaked underfoot. Eyes above and below observed our every move. At the bottom, a submerged cavern extended beyond our lights, water lapping against an ancient stone dais. On the dais sat a circle of porcelain dolls, each with a human hair woven into its scalp. Their glass eyes were fixed on the darkness beyond. One doll wore a mining helmet, another, a tattered wedding veil. In the center lay Eleanor's locket, its clasp open. Jade dared to pick it up. The instant she did, the dolls' heads turned, twisting on their necks in unison, eyes glowing red. They whispered through cracked lips, "We are what you leave behind." Realizing the mind-trapped lost souls whose reflections were stolen, we resolved to free them. Lena recalled the inscription on the lodge's sign. "Keep your reflection to yourself." We had to return every stolen reflection. Using Marcus's camera, we recorded our own images, then held the lens toward the mirror in the lodge's foyer. Lantern in one hand, camera in the other, we chanted, "Mirror of sorrow, break your hold. Release the lost, the young and old. Return their faces, set them free. From mine, from lake, from you and me." The mirror cracked, splintering its surface like thunder. Light erupted, illuminating every face in the foyer. 20 silhouettes stepping forward, translucent, haunted expressions softening into relief. They passed through the wall, dissolving into motes of light that drifted upward, as though exhaled. The lodge shuddered. Water surged in from the windows, flooding the halls. We fled to the shore, where the lake boiled as lost reflections surfaced, shimmering, fragile, then morphing into pale butterflies that soared into the night sky. At dawn, the lodge stood empty, the mirror reduced to dust. The mine entrance had collapsed. The lake lay calm again, its surface clear, no ripples, no glowing footprints. Marcus checked his footage. Every image beyond the lake's edge was static, as if wiped clean. But in the final frames, a single butterfly drifted past the lens, before dissolving into light. Here's what I still can't shake. When you look in a mirror tonight, whose face do you see? Would you dare to leave your reflection behind, to explore what lurks beneath? Or would you, like us, run until the echoes fade? If this tale sent a chill straight to your bones, don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free and brings us one step closer to 500 fearless hearts. Click that subscribe button now, ring the bell, and join me next time, if you dare. Have you ever tuned into a radio station that shouldn't exist? Heard voices whispering your name through crackling static? Tonight, we venture to Camp Echo Ridge, where an abandoned transmitter still broadcasts the last moments of a forgotten tragedy. Before we step beyond the tree line, remember, subscribing is completely free, and every subscriber brings us closer to 500 curious souls. If you dare to decode the signal, hit that subscribe button now, no cost, all mysteries, and you won't miss a single chilling moment. We arrived at Camp Echo Ridge on a muggy August afternoon. I'm Avery, aspiring documentarian, and my trio of friends, Tessa, the tech whiz, Jonah, the avid urban explorer, and Sam, whose calm voice narrates our footage, were eager to debunk the camp's legend, that deep in the woods stood an old radio tower, destroyed in a fire 70 years ago, yet still broadcasting the final hours of its creator, engineer Walt Granger. Our GPS led us down a narrow logging road, flanked by towering pines. The air tasted of resin and dust. At the camp's entrance, a rusted sign read, "Echo Ridge, tune in to remember." Below, a smaller plaque warned, "Do not enter the tower after dark." We laughed it off, until we saw the tower's skeletal frame silhouetted against the sun. We pitched our tents in a clearing 200 meters from the tower's base. Tessa set up her portable SDR, software-defined radio, to scan frequencies. Jonah unpacked climbing gear, itching to scale the rusted ladder. I adjusted my camera's microphone to capture ambient sound. Sam flipped through a battered journal she found in the lodge's drawer, Walt Granger's notes, stained with coffee and ash. July 12, 1955. Test transmission at 2:30 a.m. The signal is clear. Listeners report voices, distress calls. I don't understand. Must record. As dusk crept in, the woods fell silent, no birdsong, no insects. Even our campfire seemed muted. At 2:27 a.m., Tessa's radio crackled to life. We huddled around her SDR display as she dialed the frequency, 91.7 MHz. Through static, Walt's voice emerged, tired, panicked. Can you hear me? This is Walt Granger. The tower's malfunctioning. The fire spread too fast. I can see the flames, they're coming. The transmission cut out abruptly. A second later, the telltale hiss of electricity echoed through the clearing. I glanced at the tower. No lights, no power lines. Yet I felt a distant hum, like a broken speaker halfway between dream and wakefulness. Morning brought uneasy calm. While scouting for a generator, Jonah found footprints in the underbrush, barefoot and partial, as if someone had fled. Sam's journal contained a new entry scrawled overnight in unfamiliar handwriting. They're here. They want the signal. I can't stop it. We shared uneasy glances. The camp's ranger cabin lay empty, dust settling on maps that marked a network of old maintenance tunnels below the tower. None had been explored since the fire. Armed with headlamps, we found a rusted hatch at the tower's base. The latch surrendered with a cry of tortured metal. Below, a narrow staircase spiraled into damp darkness. Water dripped from the ceiling, pooling around our boots. Rusted cables snaked along the walls, still warm to the touch. At the bottom, we discovered a control room, twisted consoles, charred tape reels, and a lone microphone hanging by its cord. A small reel-to-reel tape player awaited format. Jonah inserted a reel found on the floor. When he pressed play, Walt's voice returned, fragmented, overlapping. Must warn them, do not climb, tower is alive. Sound becomes flesh. I'm sorry. The tape snapped off, reels spinning empty. In the silence, we heard footsteps above, descending toward us. We bolted up the stairs, slamming the hatch shut. Panting, we barricaded it with a fallen steel beam. Outside, Tessa's radio screeched. The tower was transmitting on multiple channels, overlapping broadcasts. A child's laughter, echoing down the hillside. Scraps of Walt's voice. Last test, imminent. A woman sobbing. Please, help me. Tessa scanned the spectrum. Frequencies leapt and vanished, as if the tower were scanning us. When we approached, the static coalesced into a single word. Stay. Refusing to back down, we decided to scale the tower at dawn. Jonas led the ascent, each rung shaking under his weight. Halfway up, he froze. Guys, there's a face pressed against that broken antenna reflector. No, it's two faces. I aimed my camera upward. The playback froze on two ghostly silhouettes, twisted, hollow eyes, before the image collapsed into static. Sam shouted, "Get down now!" We descended in a scramble, but as we reached the ground, a wrenching groan came from the tower's base, like metal tearing from itself. On the forest floor, Tessa was gone. Her radio lay smashed, dial stuck on wailing static. We searched until Jonah's flashlight caught a shimmer beneath the tower, a pale handprint smeared on the steel girder. No flesh, only cold metal beneath. The underbrush beyond had been trampled, leading into the woods. We followed, flashlights converging on a grove of twisted pines. There, Tessa stood facing a broken mirror propped against a tree, her reflection absent. When she turned to us, her eyes glowed faint blue. She whispered, "They need a voice. I'm the new transmitter." Realizing that Tessa was now a conduit for the tower's ghostly transmissions, we raced back to the hatch. Inside the control room, Jonah and I rewired the tape player to loop a playback of Sam's reassuring tone. "You are not alone. You will be free." We hoped the positive signal could override Walt's tortured broadcast. I handed Sam the headset. She pressed play. The room vibrated as cheerful static cracked, then a guttural roar, as if the tower itself rebelled. Running for the hatch, Tessa, voice echoing like 10 people at once, shouted, "Don't end me! I belong to the signal!" We pried her away, ducking below as the control room door buckled inward. An explosion of static filled our ears. We tumbled through the hatch as the beam above collapsed with a deafening clang. We emerged at sunrise, campfires from neighboring sites emblazoning the dawn. Tessa lay unconscious, the radio's frequency dial spinning freely. When she awoke, her eyes were clear. The tower behind us was still standing, yet silent, its aged metal dull. Back at our tents, we reviewed footage. The tunnels were empty, but Sam's camera picked up one final whisper. "Signal secure." No further transmissions came. Now, days later, I still hear faint radio hiss whenever I plug in my microphone. I keep Tessa's SDR tuned to 91.7 MHz, just in case. And I wonder, if you heard a voice calling your name from the radio, would you answer? Would you climb to the top of a broken tower to see who's calling? Or would you, like us, run until the static fades? If this story sent shivers down your spine, remember, subscribing is completely free, and every subscription helps us reach our goal of 500 brave listeners. Click that subscribe button now, ring the bell, and join us next time, if you dare to tune in.